The term free-to-play is often associated with the most popular games out today, especially in the guise of multiplayer and its sizable communities. But the terms free and free-to-play are generally interchangeable. In fact, if you go on Steam, you'll see both tags, free-to-play and free. Free-to-play often comes with the lure of a free-to-download and play formula, while adding in payment options as you go along. And it seems to be the dominant formula in today's form of a free game. As for me, I grew up with a lot of games that were quite literally free, especially in the realm of shooters like Xonotic, Assault Cube, Urban Terror, Open Arena, and many others, where you could download and not worry about paying a dime. I went through most of the available FPS games available on Steam that are free, and some being free to play. But in this video, I will be bringing up more lesser known shooters on the Steam page that I think that are worth your time, since that's all it asks for. Number 1. AWOL. A slow-paced tactical shooter made using the build engine, or more specifically the eDuke32 source port, which is a modified version of it. Its gameplay is slower than your usual build engine games like Duke Nukem 3D or Blood, but it's a game with some gunplay feedback that's pretty nice, along with some genuinely impressive level design and sprite work. The AI, however, is something that could be improved upon, but you could say that for just about any build engine game really. Definitely check this one out if you're looking for a retro-inspired tactical-based shooter. Number 2. Banana Shooter. You'll generally find lots of games like this that often have a simple but addicting gameplay style, even though it's more or less like a meme on the surface. This game harkens back to the older days of arena shooters, fitted with a minimalistic setting and premise, along with the polished feel of dashing, double jumping, grapple hook, and rocket jumping. The game rewards you for your efforts to kill the enemy player, with upgrades that you get to keep as long as you are alive. It's more or less a meme type of game, so keep that in mind. But if you're in the mood to collect bananas in a Quake-like shooter, then check this one out. Number 3. Bone Dust. For anyone that's played Neon White, this may also be somewhat familiar, at least in the sense of using cards. Well, Bone Dust takes the form of an arena shooter that also encompasses bullet hell elements. You play as a magician that uses her playing cards as a weapon, going up against hordes of enemies and hoping for the best. Graphically, it is along the lines of a 2000s 3D game, with a mishmash of weird enemy designs and vibrant colours. But if you want something like Neon White, but more streamlined and free, then this is one worth having a look at. Number 4. Chaos. Games like this are something that I can appreciate. Not necessarily having to be something unique, but something that is both fun and a reminder that a game only needs to be just that. Fun and simplistic in design. This game does so, but in the guise of a fast-paced multiplayer shooter with a ton of weapons and destructible environments. It has 3 different game modes, and also AI for those that don't have the best connection and struggle to find players. Either way, there's still some fun to be had in the chaos that is this game. Number 5. The Creature of Chaos. Okay, now from a first glance, this definitely takes me back further in time, but in a good way of course. It's an early access free shooter that has a number of things going for it, like its retro aesthetic, 3 different modes, campaign, arcade, and most importantly, its custom map mode that lets you generate a map and create your own levels. Part of this game's identity too is its procedural level nature, meaning that each playthrough will be different. If you want a more structured experience though, then this may not be for you. In any event, it's free, so what's the harm in trying it? Number 6. Gore Free. This is a game that may appear somewhat familiar to those that have played something like Cruelty Squad, something that is abstract in both its gameplay loop and presentation. Gore Free is a game that describes itself as an abstract shooter, and it shows from its appearance alone. The premise is simple. You play as an arcane warrior sent to liberate a castle. The only catch is that you have one chance to get the job done, making this a permadeath game. Now, while I hate permadeath games personally, the experience is short enough that I can ignore the fact. If you're looking for games that try to be more experimental in both its visual presentation and gameplay ideas, then this is a game worth having a look at. Speaking of minimalistic or abstract, Maze is a game that provides a short and sweet experience that is also randomized. Your character gives the level and its enemies the run and gun treatment. Its graphics present a very limited but simplistic color palette along with its low poly based model shown on the screen. There's potential for something bigger with a game like this, but what's already there is still worth checking out. Number 8. Neon Boost. Personally, I generally hate platformers for the most part with some exceptions, and I hate 3D ones even more. But Neon Boost is a game that I'll still recommend on the virtue of having an appealing aesthetic and a ton of content for something that is pretty much free. It's described as a first-person platformer incorporating rocket jumping or wall running. The main incentive is to get the fastest time possible for each level, about 72 of them to be exact, along with 3 different worlds that share them. If you're looking for a different change of perspective besides the usual 2D platformers that you have, then Neon Boost should be one of your stops. Number 9. Warfork. Here we have one of the few arena shooters that I remembered playing when I was younger, although it was originally known as Warsaw. A fork of it would eventually be released, known as Warfork, which expanded on what the other game had already done. If you've played Quake, then it's pretty much the same deal, like most of the arena shooters released from the 2000s to the early 2010s. The art style may be something you may or may not like, but it's something that's not exactly the most important thing. In fact, people have been ignoring that aspect since Quake 1. Warfork is one that I would highly recommend, especially if you like Diabolical or other arena shooters like Zonotic. Number 10. OMFG, 1 Million Fatal Guns. Looting in shooters was something not often done, at least in the case of Diablo's way of doing it, where you're constantly getting loot. But Borderlands took the idea of loot-based gameplay and applied it to guns in an FPS, and this game here more or less goes with the same kind of idea. It combines roguelike and action-packed gameplay, where you get a different experience each time, assisted by the different possibilities of weapon names and stats. The weapons have a variety of interesting properties too, depending on the weapons that you obtain, encouraging multiple playthroughs for the optimal experience. Have a look at this game if you're looking for a gun looter shooter. Number 11. Awanker shooter. A shooter that looks more or less like a polished prototype at first glance, but its charm grows on you pretty quickly, and you find that there's more to it than it seems. You have a pistol with infinite ammo, and you need to escape the Awanker facility, and these angry faces with cyanide pills for bodies are out to put a stop to it. It's a very short game though, but one with a lot of passion and room for exploration. There is also a sequel, and I'm definitely keeping my eye out for that one. Number 12. Priest-Simulator Heavy Duty. For anyone that saw the movie Dead Alive where the priest kicks ass for the Lord, well, this game allows you to do that, but with even more powers and chaos at your disposal. This game is like a free dish before trying out the paid version known as Priest Simulator, but what's here gives you enough entertainment for a few hours to explore and experiment with the game's sandbox. It's also a game that's better explored than explained further, so I would recommend trying it out and seeing it for yourself. Number 13. Project Crypt. Now this one was a bit of a dig to find, because at the time I was actually looking for GZ Doom mods that utilize 3D models like the mod Total Chaos. Project Crypt is one such game that does so, and honestly it's really impressive given the fact that it used the GZ Doom engine to do so. An engine that is normally used for sprite-based projects. It's a game with a setting somewhat similar to Cry of Fear, another fantastic horror game that I would recommend checking out if you're a fan of Resident Evil or Silent Hill. This game, in a way, feels like a lower budget version of that game, but not necessarily in a bad way though. The technical achievement alone for making a 3D game out of GZ Doom is something to appreciate with this game, and the visuals, while extremely dated, give off an early 2000s feel that resonates with me. If you're looking for more GZ Doom based games, then this is another one to install. Number 4. Scorch. Like platformers, I also hate stealth games, with some exceptions. But Scorch was another game that I found appealing due to its 40s and 50s setting, a setting not often explored in the shooter genre. The noir-esque story and the visuals go hand in hand, with an added emphasis on the use of shadows, as you sneak your way throughout each level. It has combat, but you're not meant to be direct. The focus is to take action discreetly, while obtaining evidence and moving on with the next level. I would recommend it if you're looking for more stealth-oriented games. Number 15, and finally, we have Shrine 1 and Shrine 2. These two games were built with GZ Doom, but coats itself in with an Eldritch-inspired world. I would even say that it's kind of like the Doom guy having visions from the Necronomicon, and then being transported into a twisted reality where his skin has changed, and so have the variety of weapons with some amazing sprite work, on top of the enemies and the environments that have also gotten the same amount of detail. The first Shrine is like Doom 1, and the second game is like Doom 2, where it expands on what was done before, but providing more content, new weapons, and monsters to fight. And they're completely free, quality single-player experiences powered by the GZ Doom engine, the source of so many amazing mods for Doom. The developer Scumhead has also made Vomitorium, which is similar to these two games, but Vomitorium is a paid one, but I would still recommend buying it anyway. And then there's Lycanthorn 2 Reign of Beasts, which is also made in GZ Doom but features a Castlevania-like setting with a large open world to explore, enemies and boss battles, and other characters so that you can recruit and play as them. And that's it for this one. A lot of these games bounce from single player to multiplayer, and some of them are even categorized as free to play. But the main motivation behind this video was to bring to light a few games that aren't as well known compared to their more popular counterparts. In saying that, the quality between them all does differ, and more often than not, games with a lot more time and effort are made with the goal to sell it. Games like this, however, are not only made out of passion, but without the concern or care of trying to make money out of it, and that the satisfaction of completing the project and receiving positive feedback was good enough for them. There are plenty of more free games that I've discovered, but I'll save them for another video while I work on a few other things. Hopefully you find a game worth playing on here. Thank you for watching.